Okay, let's call the meeting to order at 3:02. And the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. And you guys get to see, yeah? Mary? Okay, so any changes or anything to the minutes? No. All right, so can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Okay. And all in favor? Approved. Okay. So new business, lighting the way, and we have here the artist and the architect, and I see the artist first helper. And so go ahead, we have these. Go ahead, let me give you the microphone. How do you make, there you go.
First, thank you very much for taking the time to take a look at our artwork. We appreciate it. Carol has assembled a little package with some explanations and some conceptual art. And we have with us today our conceptual artist who helped us design this, Bob Rosenthal. So we hope we're prepared to answer any of your questions. So do we want to unveil it? So we made a model. The Lighting Your Way consists of 3 monuments, one that is composed of 18-inch squares, one that's composed of 12-inch squares, and one that's composed of 9-inch squares. So because we felt it would be easier to comprehend if we made an actual model, we took the top 4 feet of the middle column and actually produced it. Complete as it's going to be produced. We left the back open because we needed to be able to transport it, but it'll be covered on all 4 sides. So I have this right here, and I'd really like to unveil it and show it to you, and hopefully everyone will go, wow.
Huh? Yeah, we will stand. One of the commissioners was not here when the project was introduced, so she knows very little about it. So, like, where it's located? So, Carol, you can.
Right. So while James plays with the blanket there, I'm Carol Rogers, co-owner of Stone and Glass. This project will be located in the green space that is at West Grand, West 2nd, and Quince. Right. The idea here is we were looking for a piece of artwork that would come into view fairly quickly as you come on West Valley Parkway, coming into town from the west side. And our design is for probably some of the biggest criteria that we looked at in creating this sculpture is we wanted something that would, of course, have significant visual impact as it came into view. Mm-hmm. And we wanted something that felt like a living sculpture. And in doing that, or in considering this, we're glass artists, first and foremost. And one of the beauties of glass is that it doesn't fade, it doesn't deteriorate, and it can be a fairly resilient material. Do you want to keep going or shall I?
Yeah, so we designed this around a few things. First, there's a clear message in this piece, lighting the way, and we chose to use rainbow-colored glass to be all-inclusive. This glass has been coated in titanium, and then it is laminated to tempered glass, so it's like your windshield. It's pretty tough stuff. If you ran into it head-on, your skull would crush before the window would break. So we had a theme. We wanted it to be all-inclusive, the rainbow. And we feel that there's a time right now where everyone needs light to find their own way. So that was where we started. Bob brought us the idea of doing a monument. We worked with him on design, and we all agreed on this theme. Now we have the outcome. I'm really excited about some of the things about this. One is this piece of art is going to stand in that city-owned piece of property for 100 years. It's made from stainless steel and glass. And there's little chance other than somebody throwing a rock at it or shooting at it, or if they drive 25 feet across that medium and they hit the base, and we have a solution for that too. But without any outside influence, just environmentally, it should stand there for 100 years. And I hope my name is on the bottom too. So we're pretty proud of what we've done here. And I will say that in doing this, this is the top section of the center column. In doing this, it gave us an opportunity to discover lots of little technical things that we had to improve on and make better. And there's still a few changes that will happen once we go to the full size. I'm not sure what else I can say other than we're pretty excited, and that is a piece of property. And how this whole project started, if any of you don't know, was when we've been in Escondido for going on 7 years, and we moved over to West Grand Avenue, and Jeff Epp approached us and suggested that we do a sculpture in that green space, which is owned by the city, because he said the city can't do anything with it. There's nothing we can do with it. It's got water, it's got electric, why don't you do something? And so he pestered me, literally, for a couple of years. And every time I'd see him, he'd go, how's that design going? And it wasn't until we began to explore where the money might come from and how that would happen and how it would happen with the city that the design came into focus. And one thing I believe will be true is that this project will cost the city zero. There's no cost involved to the city at all. We believe that we have a source of funding in place to fund the whole project. And this is not a cheap project. There's a lot of glass in there and a lot of manipulated glass. So I'm pretty proud that we seem to be at the point where we can make this donation to the city. So if you don't have any questions, I'll unveil it and show it to you, and we can talk about it and the structure, and hopefully you all like it and give us a thumbs up. Yes, ma'am. You only get one. No, just kidding.
I have one question. You said we believe we have a source in place. Could you explain that to me? For funding?
Yeah, I'm going to let Carol take that.
So the way this project will be rolled out is we will have a partnership with a fiscal sponsor. We will look to charitable entities to help us with the funds to build this project. We have been having conversations about this sculpture since 2018 and have some verbal inferences that funding is available. We also have individual clients that are interested in contributing to the project.
How, I think that's wonderful that you have a number of people that are so interested, but how does that translate into actual physical funds that we would have, you would have in place so that it would cost the city no money?
Well, the city is not going to take this sculpture if they have to pay for it. There is a memorandum of understanding that says they will not have to pay for the sculpture, that it's being donated by Stone and Glass. So should it happen that we are incapable of raising those funds, which is not likely, because as I said, this has been in the works for 3 years now, the city would not be hurt here.
And
I have a question.
And if I could just answer that a little bit further, because of the type of business people we are, until 100% of the funds are in place, we're not starting the project. We've already invested a lot of money to get here. And for us to start to fund the project with the hope and prayer that somebody will show up, I'm 70, I'm beyond that at that point in my life. We have to have the money in hand. So even if you like it, and if the city council likes it, and we get the approval, and we get all the city planning stuff in place. The money doesn't show up, that's as far as it gets.
On a personal level, as an artist, I really appreciate what you're doing and what you are going to do and your projections. And it is wonderful that you've donated your time and your energy in this art.
It's a labor of love. As you see me hugging my blanket.
Yeah.
I'm Patricia's fan, if I could ask a question or two. And I know I'm anxious to see this, so I'll be quick. I mean, I'm excited to see it. Now, the cost, what does that translate into actual dollars? I mean, is it 100,000?
I'd like to start this. So the first thing I'd like to say is this, is that because of what's going on in the world today,
Sure.
the budget is in flux. So one of the things, as an example, we started out using mild steel, but mild steel doesn't stand up well. So we had to make the transfer to stainless steel. Stainless steel is about 3 times the cost of mild steel. In the last 60 days, stainless steel has gone up 30%. So depending on when the money shows up, we'll have, I'm going to say, plus or minus impact of about 25%. Now, if you'd like to know what the projected number is, as of last week, it was in the right around $400,000.
Okay, I'm not surprised. Okay, the reflecting glass that I peeked at as coming up here, will that create a problem with lights that hit it and coming back? I mean,
You're talking about glare. So, yeah, you know, you're not the first person who's asked that.
I'm sure.
And we had to address that. The first thing that we did was we switched from a straight piece of glass like a mirror to glass that has a rippled effect. So it actually breaks up the sunlight. The other thing we did was originally, as you come down valley before it turns to Grand, we had the whole sculpture straight on. We've rotated that sculpture this way so that the setting sun, even if there's some reflection, will not reflect in the eyes of the drivers. So we did address that.
Excellent. I knew you would. Now, how close, now I see a mother and maybe a daughter here. How close to the monument will you be able to get? There's a stoplight there, but I mean, it would mean parking in the park. It's more as a drive-by, right?
It is a drive-by. But let me just say, first of all, the city has told us 25 feet from all 3 sides.
Okay.
So it's got to be pretty much smack in the center. And Anna Marie and I actually walked that a few weeks ago, and just to make sure that we had space to do that. So that's the first concern. I will tell you that the city expressed a concern that should a car hop that curb and in all that space find a target and hit the base, how do we deal with that? Well, first of all, we did a little research. There's been no cars hopping that curb ever that's been recorded. But the city suggested possibly some bollards. And so we did some investigation on that too. And we actually have a suggestion. Oh, okay, we're not going to deal with that now. But we have a suggestion on how to deal with that. But it's something the city would have to deal with.
Okay, and are there lights at the bottom? Or you say there's electricity there. Is there?
Yeah. So are you familiar with dichroic glass?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so dichroic glass is glass that's been coated in a thin metal coating of titanium.
Okay.
And they use high voltage electricity to to vaporize the titanium. And by controlling the electricity, they can control the color. And they vacuum it in a vacuum chamber onto hot glass. It's a very interesting process. It was actually developed by the Air Force for the insides of jet fighter cockpits. And the guy who developed that for the Air Force rather, built his own artistic company. So dichroic, 2 colors. So it has a reflective quality, and it has a totally different refractive quality. So we had to consider the reflective quality is in full force of the sun, but there's no refractive quality. At nighttime, if it's lit from the inside, you'll get the refracted color. So they're slightly different. And I brought a sample, and I'd be more than happy to give it to you to hold up and play with, and this is what this is going to be made from. But as soon as you handle this, you'll go, oh, I get it. Would you like this?
Very heavy.
Okay, so there's two, thank you. So that's why I have my COE, chief of everything. I apologize. You're still waiting for the answer about the light.
Yes. That was my question.
I
but
wondered what that
I-
blank look was. I was like, okay, did I miss something? So we are going to light it from the inside, and I have a small example of that with me today.
Wonderful.
And then we hope that to light it from the outside at night as well. And that'll all run through city power, which is brought right to the property there. Just like those palm trees are all lit. We'll be on the same circuit as that.
And if this goes through, projected time to, would I expect to see it?
2021.
Okay, so timing's an interesting thing. And of course, my chief of everything and I have a different look at timing. My belief is that if we can have the preliminary acceptance, go ahead by the end of this month, we will have it finished by the end of the year.
Okay.
It's a big job. When you see the stainless steel work here, you got to be quite a stainless steel artisan to do this.
Okay.
Did I answer the question this time?
I think you answered every question, and thank you both.
And some you didn't ask, right?
Yes, but it was good.
I do think based on what's happening in the world, 6 months is really optimistic. I think we're looking at a year at that.
Well, I think that's,
because
I was
of-
just, so many art projects say, you know, we expected it here, and here we are 2 years down the road. So we're looking at maybe maximum a year.
Maximum a year. And again, the real question becomes, we get go ahead from you, go ahead from the city, planning's all done, and we get the money in place, but then we got to find all the materials and secure all the materials. The company that does the coding has already told us it's a 4-month lead time.
Okay.
To get everything coded, so.
Thank you, I'm anxious to see that. Anne
I
Marie?
believe that because I'm waiting for 8 months for my hot tub lid. 8 months.
Yeah.
8 months. And they already cashed the check. Okay, so let me take back a little bit because my colleagues don't know hear anything about it. So I approached James about, I don't remember, maybe 4 weeks ago or something, and to come to that triangle piece, and we talked about we call it the columns and the base, no, the pedestal, right?
Pedestal.
The pedestal. So, and at that time, I brought up concerns about the scale of the pedestal. Did I say it right? It was pedestal,
Mhm.
yeah. Because it's only 36 by 36 inches. And I thought it was too small for the scale of the height of the whole project and the scale to the space that is available. There's a lot of space there available. So I brought that to you, and I showed it to Danielle, and share with other people. So I suggested that they would do some changes, if possible, to the base. But let me tell you, I am excited about this project. And you need to know that I had already requested for a proposal for a project 2 weeks before we found out about yours. So that space had already been, at least in my mind, that it needed something big and major, right? So that was going to be, something was going to be placed there. That was one thing. Number 2, this is the commission where you come to get funds for projects like this.
You know what?
Funds, money.
Money.
Yeah. So it kind of, it's ironic that you didn't come. And I wanted to let you know that if the rest of the commission is agreeing with this project, I'm only 1 of 5 or 4, 5, that if they approve it and you're short, this would be the place to come. So if we are a resource to the community, whatever happens in our community when it's in a public space, this is the place to come for funds, if we have them, right? So that was one thing that it was puzzling to me, that we found out at the end of the thing, not at the beginning of the whole thing.
You know, I'd like to first apologize for that, and it was a little bit of an oversight on our part, and I will take the blame for that, me personally. I've always been one of those guys where it's not easy for me to go and beg for money, and I will tell you that I don't do a lot of public art because I don't like to be in that battle. It just doesn't fit my personality. So at the time that Jeff Epp was promoting this, the fact that we had somebody who stepped forward and said, if you get it approved, we'll put money into it, that was the easiest path for me. And so I just took the easiest road. It never occurred to me to come and ask the Public Art Commission for money. And in fact, I didn't realize that we would have to come and do a presentation to you. And it's just lack of experience, because I mostly do custom commission work for my clients and my patrons. So I apologize.
You don't need to apologize.
But I'm glad to know that you're putting your hand out and saying, if you can give us some money.
Well, what I'm saying, if the commission approves it, I'm
Yeah.
only one, as I said, it's Jeff. Jeff should have known better, not you. He should have known better. I have two questions that are technical. One is, last time I talked to you, but I look at the drawings, you said the towers were not attached, that you had actually separated the towers. And the drawing doesn't show that.
You know, we haven't, and forgive me, life is very busy these days. Bob here is the person who's helped us with all these illustrations. And Bob has a long track record and experience of building medical buildings all over California. And we reached out to him, and his life is busy as well. And so we've had some conversation about separating the columns so that if you have to get inside one, you don't have to take the whole column down to get to a space inside. So we've sort of come up with a basic size of going from 3 feet to 5 feet. But we haven't illustrated on the base.
5 feet, and then the towers will be
Separated on the base.
I would love that.
And of course, you know, we're picking up that design like on the outside of this building. That'll be cast in place. And so it'll resemble the downtown architecture. And if you have architectural questions, he's the guy.
Okay, so when they're independently not touching, then each tower stands on its own against wind, anything. So they just, right? They're not
Yeah,
touching.
yeah.
Okay.
So are you questioning the wind shear, wind calcs?
Right.
So Bob can address that in depth, but I will tell you the short answer is until we reach the point where we can actually do the engineering, none of us have the answers. The engineer is going to have to tell us.
From the aesthetical point of view, on my side, I think it would be great if you could actually separate them and be in a bigger base. That has been my objection
Yeah.
from the beginning. It would make a much more visual impact if it's not three little things like going up and.
It facilitates a lot of things that will be make it easier. For instance, lighting them from the outside. If you have a larger base, you don't have to have the lights on the ground. You can actually get the lights on the base on the outside.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of advantage to that.
Yes.
And that was a great suggestion you made when you made it. And just so you know, I immediately reached out to Bob and said, we got to do something about the base.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And with the lightning, Danielle is experiencing that we have a piece right above where you guys are located, the community by Jeff, I can't remember, the middle one on the right side. It's 2 pyramids. It's called Community something, right across from Barnes and Noble. Okay, make sure that you use lights on the outside and, from the outside that are easy to be removed, repaired, because that place has been without lights for over a year, and they can't find it. So those are technical things that we're learning too.
So on that note, first let me say that I'm a big believer in LED. I like LED. They got a long lifespan.
Yeah.
And we have committed to the city that we are going to, in addition to the sculpture, give them spares. Because, let's face it, none of us are young. And if something if something were to happen to a piece of glass, they'd have no idea how to replace it. So we're going to give them spares, and I'm thinking now, based on what you're saying, that whatever lighting we do, we need to give them spare lighting, so in case the lighting burns out.
No, not so much about that as, first of all, I don't know if you're going to talk about the maintenance of the piece. Who's going to assume responsibility for it? Is it the city fully? Spare glass would be awesome, you know.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
And the other commissioners need to know that these are sections, so if somebody decides to throw a rock and break one of the squares, then that square gets replaced. not-
Right,
not
that's
the
correct.
whole thing,
And,
right?
and the city will have 12 spares of each size glass. Hmm? Oh,
Yes, thank you. Thank you for responding. Yeah, I do too, me too.
This is temporary. This inside here, the light's not as effective. I really suggest you come down and walk around it. And we're very proud of the stainless steel detail. If you've never worked with stainless steel, the detail, it's very hard.
The top is stainless. In the initial design, we thought that that was going to be a solar collector. We thought about solar lighting because we thought it might be a money saver. But then you realize solar does not have the life of hardwired lights. So then we realized the pyramid is a great way to keep the birds off the sculpture. We don't want birds' nests up there. So each tower will have a pyramid.
This is 12 inches?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is the scale, this column right here. The top 4 feet of this column. That's correct. And everything will be canted a little bit clockwise, so that there's no chance of glare directly.
It is, isn't it?
Okay, I also like the way that you superimpose the arches that we have around the city, the design. I think that was, Bob, I think that was really important to do, to incorporate. What material is that going to be done in? Wait, how about the little arch? There's a semicircle. Okay, so that will be concrete also?
Yeah, it's, the concrete is poured in place in a form, and the form has got that pattern in it to mimic the arch and the dome.
Cute.
You'd like to see them all? This tower costs $5,000. We can't do them all. Yeah. I don't think she did that.
Very well done. Beautiful. It's not,
This will be closed.
Of course, they can run
Thank you so much, Mr. Stone. Um,
One more thing in what I just handed you here. So the city did talk to us about bollards, however, did not put this in our scope of work.
I don't,
But James had a wonderful idea after some of his conversations with you, Anna Marie.
mhm.
We thought it might be fun for the Public Art Commission to put out a call for bollards that might tell our history here in Escondido to protect lighting the way. And that's why I'm showing you these artistic bollards.
Now, bollards are self-standing sculptures.
Yeah, they're concrete is what they are. They're concrete posts typically that are kind of ugly. They're just concrete, and maybe they'll be yellow or orange or something like that. And you can see in these packages that in different places around the world, artists have turned a bollard into a canvas and done some really cool stuff. And it sort of reminds me of Esco Alley art, right? You just, right? It'd just be great fun, and it makes it a bigger sculpture space.
Yeah, it totally makes sense to do something as long as it doesn't block anything regarding this particular
Right.
project. Right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
they cannot be too high. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can show you this. You can look at that. This is what they did in Chula Vista, and it's really exciting. Also in a corner, bunch of artists. So yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay.
Give us more detail.
This is something that we're hoping you'll do.
Are you giving us this? No.
Uh,
You're just showing us.
Borrowing it, lending it.
Then
We're hoping the bollards are something you guys can get excited about and put out an RFP. And that way, and you can write the RFP, and hopefully what we think is the RFP should cover the cultural history of Escondido.
Well, let's talk.
You know, and that way you'll get 200 applications to approve, and people would want.
Oh, that reminds me, that was one thing that I wanted to mention, the obelisk. We have been out doing community outreach and getting, for the most part, a very, very positive response to this. We did hear from one person in the Mercado district that felt that this didn't pay tribute to the people who came before us.
Mm.
And obelisks were used in Egypt first to honor their kings and their queens and their gods, and the monument in Washington, that was to honor those who came before us. It was to honor our history. This is truly a nod to our past in addition to our future.
Yeah, I see where they're coming from, and
Yeah,
Not
just wanted to put it,
not every art piece has to do that.
has to do that exactly.
No, but I think they need to be recognized and given the space also somewhere. Okay, thank you so much. So what is our job right now? There's 2 commissioners missing here.
That's okay, we still have a quorum. It's really just to accept the presentation, and then I will report back when they go to council that it came to the Public Art Commission, there were no concerns, they asked questions, everyone was in support of the project.
I would like to say that I love the project with a
With the larger
just separating them with a large, just using more space, so that that particular piece is the piece in the triangle. Even if we add the dollars later, there's no question that it takes the space. And and I think, yeah, that's all. So I want to put that for the record, that they are separated and use more space. That the base also is more significant to the total project. That's it. But I love what they've done done, and I commend you for all the effort.
Thank you very much. It's been a long time getting here.
Yes. So thank you so much.
I just wanted to add one thing. Our Public Works Department will be clearing out that space and providing different landscaping there. So what's there now would, tend to block the view of the piece. So they'll be re-landscaping that whole area, so this will really be the focus of that triangle.
You're not cutting the palm trees, are you?
Oh, no, I'm sure they're not. No, just I
The
don't
bushes.
know exactly what they're doing, but I would assume no palm trees are coming down.
Okay.
Just the shrubs that are down below.
That would be unfortunate to lose the palms, because I think now the bit of palms with this, all of this,
Yeah.
is gonna look so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Yes, that's fine.
Bob, may I ask you a question? From where it is placed, from the base, from your ground level, and then to your base, and then to the very top tower, what is the final height on all of that?
It's we're planning 8 feet high pedestal and 24 feet for the structure. So it'll be 32 feet from the ground level.
Right, because it'll be very visible when we come down.
Yeah.
And then, do you have a vision of what you see around it as far as cover? I know it's not going to be a spot where people can easily access it, like the triangle there. But do you see something on landscaping that maybe the city would consider, since now you mentioned that? Would it be like a rock face or natural DG?
I don't know. I think that's a great question and needs much more study than we've given it.
Or succulents, or, agaves, or what's,
I would guess that the city will come up with a proposal or two.
I think, yeah.
We'll work together to determine what our best options are for that space.
Good, because it's so beautiful alone that you don't want to overclutter it with a lot of landscaping, I would imagine.
Right. But the triangle needs to be cleaned up. There's a lot of brush and small
yeah.
shrubs and so
There's no design right now.
don't contribute to
None.
anything.
And thank you for your contribution to this.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. Thank all of
Thank you for hearing
Thank you,
us
guys.
today.
Yeah.
Anne Marie, do you want me to make a motion to accept your project as you have described it, a little larger at the base? And we're only talking about the project itself, not,
I don't think you need to.
we don't need to? Okay,
It's on the record, I think.
good job.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's move on. Item number 2 of new business is introduction of the intern. Go ahead, Ms. Danielle.
Yes, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you guys to Belle Morlock. She's going to be an intern for the Public Art Commission, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. She'd like to say a few words. So.
Okay.
Hi guys.
Hello.
This is my first time doing something like this. My name is Belle Morlock. I'm a junior in high school. I'm really fascinated by art and I want to be a public artist and go to the Rhode Island School of Design someday. And I'm really excited about this opportunity. It's going to be a great chance to just learn and meet people. And it's super fun already, so thank you guys.
Thank you. I already told Danielle about a project you can get started on, like the artist roster for the city, which we don't have. But that's something you can have. Thank you, Karen. That's a good thing. All right.
So we did talk about that, just FYI. That will be her first project. We've got a workspace here set up for her, so she'll be working a couple hours every week. And her first projects will be revolving around the mural program and getting that roster of artists together.
And James Stone mentioned that someone said that there's 250 artists in Escondido, so he's a good resource, probably Carol, to get that information so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Somebody has that information.
Belle is an artist herself, and so she is familiar with the downtown art scene somewhat, right? So she's got a pretty, I think she'll
what school, what high school are you going to attending?
I'm with elite academic, but it's an online art school, so I take most of my classes through Palomar College in Mariposa.
Okay, okay. That's fine. Thank you so much. We need more kids like you. Item number 3. Daniel, is that you? And
That is me. So the NFC mural. NFC is the National Fitness Campaign. And if you're familiar, we just installed a fitness court, National Fitness Campaign fitness court in Mountain View Park. And we have 5 that are coming to the city total. So our next 2 will be in Kit Carson Park across from the fire station. And then the third will be at the library on the corner of 3rd and Broadway. They have a new program that they're launching. It's a public art program for the NFC courts where we would go out, we would put a call out for artists, and they would send in their submissions to us. And the piece itself, let me show you a picture of it. Okay, so these here are the fitness courts. It's basically a large calisthenics workout station. They started, I think the first one started in San Francisco. You may be familiar with it. Everyone is pretty much familiar with that one. But this is the back side of it. So the idea is to put out a call for artists and to use the back side of the fitness court as a mural, essentially. So the fitness campaign is putting out $5,000 grants to artists to design these murals. And then it's up to the city to purchase the mural, which is essentially a wrap, like you would put on a van or something like that, you know, like the bookmobile type of a thing. And so then it's up to the city to purchase the wrap and put it on the actual fitness court. So I wanted to present this to you today. The cost for these wraps is $25,000. And I wanted to propose this to you all today to see if you would be interested in paying for a portion or all of one or more of these artistic wraps that would go on the fitness court in Kit Carson Park.
you said 5 altogether? 5 fitness court?
Courts altogether. So we have one in Mountain View Park right now already.
Yeah, it's close to my house. I've seen it.
And then one going in at Kit Carson, one going in at the library, 3rd and Broadway. And then the other 2 are still yet to be determined. Likely Washington Park along the Creek Trail is part of that, associated with that project. And then potentially Felicitas Park, which is on Felicitas and Escondido Boulevard. It's just a small pocket park right now that's not really a very usable space. So we're thinking of putting that there. But the last 2 locations are not set in stone yet.
So what part of the budget would this be coming out of, the city murals?
The mural program, right?
Okay,
And as a reminder, we have $30,000 in there now, but for next fiscal year, we allocated another $100,000.
Yeah. I think we need to discuss this when we have a full board.
Sure, we can put this on the next agenda
Yeah.
when we have the full commission here.
how long do those wraps last, Danielle? What is the,
That's a good question. I want to say, the ones on the vehicles last quite a while. I would say maybe 8, 10 years.
and are they also graffiti proof?
They would have a graffiti photo.
Okay.
As opposed to making a real wall, building a wall and painting a mural?
What do you mean?
Instead of doing it on the structure, to actually have a wall there behind it. Build a wall.
Oh,
A more permanent structure.
well, this is pretty permanent.
Yeah? What's the other side is where the exercise machines are, right? Because I've seen it. I see, yeah.
Not the best picture, but there are a number of different stations, and then the wall has all of your pull bars and things like that.
So that wall would be facing 3rd or Broadway?
The wall's going to be facing 3rd.
It-
And the wall in Kit Carson is going to be
Okay.
Agree with Anne Marie that we ought to wait until we have a little more,
25.
more people. That sounds
But
great.
it is a good idea. We just need to discuss it.
A little bit more, okay.
Yeah.
We'll put it on the agenda.
Especially now that we're only 3 out of 5, so. All right, that's exciting. Alomar Heights update. We had a meeting May 18th. We haven't met since then, right? Since May 18th? No, we
We
haven't.
met last week. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wrong committee.
Yeah. She's in so many committees. Yeah. So for you, for the commissioners, it's moving forward. I'm excited about the projects that are coming, that have been accepted. Basically, they narrowed down to 5 artists and sculptures. One of the, I don't know if you have any, but one of the main sculptures will be in the corner of Valley Parkway and, is it Grand? One that is facing Grand, Valley Parkway, Grand. There you go. A huge sculpture. Now, the budget is only $175,000, but that accounts for 3 pieces. So I'm excited to hear that the artists are thinking that they can do it with the budget. And so the next piece would be in the corner of Valley Parkway. What's the name of the street that comes? Is Valley Parkway and Valley Park? No, it's Valley Parkway and what comes in front of the hospital? No, Grant is here. Valley Parkway is coming here, and then the little street between Valley Parkway and Grant, right in front of the hospital. What is that? Second? No. What is that? Okay. They're going to demolish the structure that is there. There's a little small structure, house, whatever it was, and then it's going to be a garden, some sort of landscaping, and then it's going to be a small mural there. You don't happen to have, no, nothing here that we could show them, right?
No.
Okay.
If you send, I think in the last meeting we talked about, do you have the renderings for the pieces?
I don't. The person in charge of the project does. She showed them. And then the third piece would be right across from that corner, across from Grand and Valley Parkway, right across. So we talk about 3 pieces, probably 2 sculptures and 1 little mural maybe on that one, or an pardon me? Oh yes, it might be hickory. Yeah, and then it continues straight across, right? So yeah, and they are down to 5, but I'm really excited to say that one of those 5 is Melissa Ralston, who is an Escondido artist. And not only that, she's the author of that beautiful tree in Vista and in Paseo Santa Fe that you guys saw remember? The big beautiful tree? So she's the one. So I'm excited. She's one of the finalists. And I also suggested to call Cherry Laporte, but she declined to participate. So, yeah. So we're going to be meeting at the end of July. That'll be the next one. So I'll keep you posted on that. Okay? That's as far as Alomar Heights. Okay, 5. 2022 priorities and vision. Before we get to that, I wanted to put up for discussion, or just maybe a clarification. With some of the projects that we have seen, such as Lighting the Way, it has come to us that, and also the library, that proponents of those projects have felt that if they can acquire the funds that we have basically no jurisdiction over that project. And I want that clarification from you, Danielle. But the way I read today, went through my information, my binder, and if it is in a public place, then they have to come to this commission. If it's in a private place and in a private structure, then no.
No, what she was saying is that we should really agendize that for the next meeting because it's kind of a separate discussion than what we actually have.
Okay, so that's why I asked you if we could talk about that. Okay, let's put it about that, and then maybe you can bring more insight decide, but as far as I read it, if it's on a public place, it's part of his body. Otherwise, we have no say. That's what I understand.
So the agenda item would be clarification of.
The role of this commission in art placed on public land. And if private projects, out of courtesy, I guess, would inform us so that we can keep them in our, what do you say, inventory of art in Escondido, because things are, popping up, we don't even know. So just in courtesy to inform this art and keep track of what's happening. Okay, all right, okay. So the vision, if you can project the slide. Oh, there's a typo there. Escondido is not capitalized. Needs to be done. But anyway, this is just a draft, right? Okay, so the next slide is supposed to be, no, there's another slide. If you go up, go back. Oh, the mission. So you see here this blank. I went into other cities, Public Art Commission mission, and I sent to Danielle an email, and I just took portions of their mission, because basically what the mission does is, I think we all know what the mission is, but it basically focuses so that you know what are you trying to accomplish through different projects and the vision. And can we see that other thing, or no? I sent you another one. You probably didn't.
I got it.
If you can just email, let's see how, well, let's just post it. Oh, not that one, the mission. You didn't send it?
Oh, no,
You didn't get it? Okay.
I got that.
So can I send it to you, and then you can forward it to all the commissioners to look at?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and what I did basically, I took the mural mission, took a portion of that, and created one, but then I've showed 4 or 5 more. That's a sample for you to look at, and then go ahead and read what you would like to see there, and then we'll discuss it at the next meeting. Yeah? Okay. And then if you can move down to the next slide. So last time that we discussed this, we talked about the north-south corridor, the areas of focus, and somebody mentioned, what about Escondido Boulevard? Should that be an area that eventually we will focus on? So I just added it on number 1, just because it's a north to south corridor, parallel to Center City. Then downtown area, then East Escondido, and I changed that. Is this the latest version?
Yes.
So let's see. There's some things missing on the East Escondido. So let's see if it's on the other slide. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So this is explaining, and I'm going to tell you that I had the opportunity to talk to the mayor about this, and I said this is just my idea. This is not the vision of the Public Art Commission, but I was talking about something completely different, like plastic waste. That was what we were talking. But I mentioned this, and he really loved the idea of the mural in the entrance of Escondido on the northern part of Escondido, and then on the southern part of Center City. Both are on the Center City. Entrance, exit. A mural to enter, a mural to exit. So he said, I would love to see that, and go ahead and talk to the other commissioners and see if they can approve something like that. So he's all for it. That's the only person that knows it. Everything else is the same. Next one. And the artist that we just mentioned is the one in the middle, right? Okay. Next one. Downtown murals. Art pieces on the Grand Avenue downtown area, and then Juan will bring more information about the yearly Mural a Day Festival. And I want to let you know that I asked to place for the next agenda the Escondido Alley Art .org. I don't know if you got to see them, the murals there. This weekend they inaugurated them on Saturday. And it's fantastic. So maybe we as a commission, and this we'll discuss, can actually provide them some funds for phase 2, because they are adding, beautifying the alleys, and it's fabulous. If you have time after this, we can go walk and look at them. How you do? So and then the next slide talks about the East Escondido, and I think this is another area that the mayor kind of liked, as he said, it is a very needy area when it comes to beautifying it. So creating murals that beautify the area around Valley Parkway, Rose Street, Palomar College, and the shopping gathering areas there, and kind of creating gathering places where people tend to gather or circulate so that they would actually see these. There's a beautiful wall that I'm already looking at, I have my eyes on, and it is on Rose, on the side of, what is the name of that big lot? It is a major mural. It would be fabulous. So anyway, so you guys keep it in your radar. Next. And then education, school outreach, and all of that. It is part of our responsibility, and I think that's the slide that if you can just put that up, the one that shows our responsibilities as a commission. So in the last bullet, educating the public about art. So I would like to also bring a conversation about maybe adding to the website, the city website, a walking tour of all the art pieces currently that we have in Escondido, so that people would like to come, they would know. And then eventually have a whole tour. But for this one, if we can educate the public about what we already have, if we can get an inventory of what we have, because we have way more than what the city has. Yeah, I know. We have somebody here who can help us. So that would be part of that. But also, if you go up to the top, we are responsible for reviewing, selecting, and approving proposals for art, and then advising the city in matters pertaining to the quality and the quantity and the scope and style of art. So basically, with the lighting the way, the regular process would have been to bring it here. The first time we discuss, we ask questions, we bring all concerns, and then they move forward instead of the other way. So just to, and this is in your writers. So that's, let me see. That's it. All right. Anybody has added, if you look at some of the areas we discussed, if you saw something that you would like to add to?
You go home and dream about these things? This is ambitious.
I've been 20 years here, and I used to be an art major, so like the new thing there.
A lot of things that I never thought about, I can picture in my mind. It take a lot of.
And I think what the mayor was excited
Together.
is that he said, okay, now we have a vision. And so even if we're not around, there's something to move forward to, right? We are not essentials. We're just, okay.
Sorry. Yeah, art and gathering places. One place that I have seen that purposely was built to gather and it does do that is on Maple Street, that short street that they blocked off many years ago.
Maple Plaza?
Maple Plaza. Anyway, that's a wonderful place to put.
You bet. You bet we could put a mural or a sculpture. By the way, when I talked to the mayor about art in general, there's a fountain. There's art already. The fountain has a little mural. But the the fountain is not working, so I asked him why is it not working, and I think it's a technical issue, not a, yeah, but that, yes, that would be a good place to have. No, no, and Danielle can explain why, right, I think.
The fountain that
Yes, I know.
it's quite beautiful, but it might be in a little bit of disrepair. I haven't seen it for a while.
It was actually turned off. There's a lot of regulation. That's actually kind of considered a splash pad, and there's a lot of regulation around those types of things. For instance, you have to have a place for people to wash their hands, and we just don't have that there. So that's really why it was turned off.
To wash your hands before you sit on the,
So
why?
when you're playing in that water, I mean,
I-
that's not the only thing. I just felt like that's the.
I've never heard of that, ever. I'm gonna go to downtown Balboa Park, see if they have that. Anyway, okay, but I think it's something that we need to recover, that fountain, but yeah, that's a great, excellent, yeah. Okay. Items from, oh no, wait, mural subcommittee, that was supposed to be one.
We skipped the liaison report. I only have really one thing to report to you guys.
Where are you here? I don't see. Go ahead.
Item D.
Okay.
The Escondido Creek Trail will be having, the large project, the 8.5 million, will be having their next public meeting on the 22nd. So that's next week, right? Yeah,
June 22nd?
June 22nd. It's at 6 p.m. at the East Valley Community Center in the Vineyard Room. So they'll be showing the designs. They're at least at 60% at this point. I don't know if they'll be showing them a little further along, but you'll definitely see at least 60% design. And then you'll be able to provide feedback to that meeting.
What was that time?
6 p.m.
We already, the public gave feedback a long time ago. I mean,
At the very beginning.
the very
to say,
beginning.
Like what kind of amenities you want.
yeah.
But now they've got it designed, and so they want to put it back out for your,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can review it.
And they have the cement walls in the creek are beautiful canvas for me. So I hope you guys, and bring ideas.
I'll go ahead and take a break. The next item is the financial report. Nothing has changed since our last meeting. So all those, there's been no additional funding spent on any of the projects, so it's exactly what it was.
Danielle, so we only have $30,000 for murals still? That amount?
Right now, the funding for next year does not get approved. I mean, it's been approved through council, but it doesn't show up in our accounts until July 1. The fiscal year starts July 1.
Okay, so I was going to propose, and this is that we could get started, and I think we really need to multitask when it comes to projects. We cannot do one at a time and then produce one every 2 years, because that's why people saying, well, the Public Art Commission doesn't get anything done. And so I wanted to propose to start in 2 areas, and we need money for that. 30,000 is not going to cut it. The mural in the library is cost 45,
43?
42, 43,000, and it's a painted mural. So I was going to propose that we get started talking about it, and the project on the entrance of Escondido, the wall to the tunnel. That's a major project that would require way more money than this. So that would be one. And then the other one, a mural in the east side. And the idea is that, and I do have a picture, but I didn't send it to you. So we have murals already at Washington Park. They will be done by June or July?
I think July.
July. And that whole park is going to change. It has a lot of things coming up. Then creating, can you go back here on the slides? Go back to east. The next one. The next one down after there. So, no, the next one. It needs to go to Keep going down. Keep going, next one. Okay, stay right there. So then the east side that we need to focus is, because one of the problems that I see happening is that Escondido in the past had art dispersed all over. And that's one of the things I mentioned to the mayor, and I said, can you give me an account of how many pieces are you see in our city? And he said, okay, let me see, 1, 2. No, I said, dozens. Where are they? Can't tell because they were dispersed without a purpose, right? So by creating focus areas where you can actually say, hey, you want to see murals in Escondido? Go to there. You want to see sculpture? Go to the avenue. You want to see alley art downtown? You know, you will have destination places in Escondido with different type of art. So here, when I wanted to propose, and I can start talking to the owner of the place, if you are starting on Washington Park, and you start walking toward Valley Parkway on Rose, there is a tortilleria there, right next to the creek. And one mural artist said, have you seen those walls? I said, no. Would you be interested? So that is a beautiful building that we could start murals there. And my question to you is, can we assign an amount and say, we're going to post and open murals, proposals for, boom, that amount of money? Is that okay?
Yes, I think that's okay. I think we would need to see how that fits into the policy that we're writing right now. Because right now it's a matching grant.
But we had talked about not mentioning matching. We need to talk about it. Not done with the policy.
So if I'm doing the math right, that's going to be about $130,000 that we'll have when it's all said and done to work with. But 25,000 of it, or 30,000, is going to be those wraps as they get approved.
If we approve them.
If you approved it,
Yeah.
or you wouldn't,
We
you
don't-
don't necessarily have to pay for the entire amount. It could be half.
Yeah. But I thought 259,000 were coming in. Where did I read that? 250 over.
That was probably the total public art dollars that came in, so we didn't program everything. So there's money still to be programmed. That is just sitting in
And-
the account in case other projects come up.
And there's a lot of money allotted to things that are not moving. With the pedestrian pathfinder, that's already something that has no description, so that money, we can move it to murals, since there's nothing there. I mean, it was somebody's idea many, many years ago, but they never, ever came with a proposal. So $31,000 there could be moved to city murals. Do we need that? How do we do that?
It has to go to council for a budget adjustment.
So we can propose that. Would you agree to that? To move it? Right? Can you look at the budget?
Can I would recommend, I mean, I wouldn't move it when you need it. I wouldn't move it now.
We need the money for murals.
But you have $130,000, so that's going to be a couple of murals. I mean, we can't,
Why?
well, first of all, I'd like to, I would like to keep that project, you know, even if the funding is so small at this point. But you do have $130,000 per mural. I don't know how many we'll be able to do at one time,
Do.
but, okay, so I think $130,000 is,
Depends on the type of mural that we would do at the beginning of, if we agree to that, 'cause that needs to be I was thinking maybe a mosaic type. I saw something beautiful in Borrego Springs, gorgeous, and it's a mosaic. I'm sure that's going to be more expensive. You guys have to agree to that. I mean, just saying so. So I know you're defending that money for your life. You say, but we can always start that later. I mean, right now, the pedestrian path, unless you have an idea, then we can discuss it. You don't want us to move it.
I would be fine with suggesting, you know, with it being moved, but I just feel like you should move it when you need it, not now. Don't close out the project now because
So can we start those 2 murals now with the funds that we have now? can we fund them now? Like, okay. Let's make a motion then, right? It would be to fund 2 murals, right?
Fund 2 murals this year.
We start now, the process. I mean, it takes.
So I make a motion to fund 2 projects this year, and they would respectively be in the tunnels at the north and south in Escondido on Center City.
Yeah, those would be considered one project, right? And then I think the other one, I'm sorry, this is.
And the money would be up to $100,000?
Whatever
should
we
we
have,
put a
whatever we
amount on
have
it?
available.
As of June 1st, we will have $130,000. So I think, I'm sorry, July 1st. I think that what the motion needs to be is to put out a call for artists.
Yes, for a specific location, that's what she's saying. So to start with the entrance,
I wouldn't say any dollar amounts because we don't know what that's going to be. But the motion should be a call for
That makes
artists
sense.
for
mural proposals,
2 new mural locations.
right, entrance,
I don't think we've got it 100% worked out. Oh, yes, yeah.
Make a motion, I make a motion a call for artists for 2 locations in Escondido.
you're talking about murals. Murals.
Murals, yes.
Does it need to be specified, the location? No, okay. Okay. And we're all in favor of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Erin, can you speak into your mic, please?
Sorry. I also do agree with everyone
Sounds-
about the tunnels entering and exiting Escondido. But I would like to see a theme that we create that has continuity.
Yeah.
So that both of
Right,
the tunnels complement each other.
right,
That we send the message that we want to.
right, right. So that's why it's almost considered one project.
Yeah, so we could, when we write the scope, we could include both locations so that
That
the
is
two are,
continuous.
yeah.
Right, and one is an entrance and the other is an exit. That's it, we can exit, so that, definitely, yeah, thank you. And then, so, we're done with the motion, right?
Yes, so we'll have to write a request for proposal, so I will definitely be looking to you guys for some assistance there as
Yeah.
far as the scope, how we want to have that written. So I can try to have a draft of that ready for you for review for the next Public Art Commission meeting. You want it sooner, I see your face.
If you can do it sooner, I mean, I know you are booked, I know that, so whatever you can do.
Okay.
Okay.
It shouldn't be,
Yeah, and you have to know that we're not giving a report, but I can tell you okay, so that's the next item, right? Where are we right now on the agenda?
I think we should number 2.
The mural subcommittee,
do you have anything else?
yeah, yeah, there's, what's the name, you were there at the meeting, from the Escondido Art Foundation, Larry? Larry. So there's a possibility there for funding of projects up to $30,000. So that could be allotted to other mural projects inside the city. But that's informational right now. Think
So we've had quite a few meetings, actually. We met with the California Center for the Arts, and we talked to them about co-hosting events out at Queen Califia. So they were very enthusiastic about the ideas. They loved the idea of partnering and hosting events at their location, and then potentially maybe busing people out to the Queen. So we also talked about selling merchandise, and they're willing to sell our Queen Califia merchandise in their shop that's in who had she was going to send a sample of a little kiosk that we could potentially leave out in there in the garden. It locks up nice and secure, and we could have the little mugs, magnets, T-shirts, things like that. So she hasn't sent that over yet, but I'll definitely share that with you guys when we see it. So we're talking about selling merchandise. We're talking about having events out there. We're looking at potentially installing a concrete pad adjacent to the sculpture garden in order to host those events, that we could potentially bring in tents for weddings or receptions or fundraisers, and anything that we do out there, all of the proceeds, the idea is that it will go into an account to maintain the sculpture garden, because we just don't have that maintenance money. I think I've told you guys before, the public art dollars that come in through development fees have to be used for new art. So we don't have the ability to maintain or repair with those funds.
So the money that we have here for Green Califia,
There's a small amount there. Yes, that's donation, so we can use that for repair, and we will. But it doesn't replenish itself
exactly.
quickly. So we need another funding source that
Yeah.
we can bring in funds on a regular basis.
So what's the scope, what's the latest with the repairs?
So LEC has provided an alternate quote, so it's $58,000, I believe, and we asked him to quote the major sections of the snake that are missing tiles. And so I have reached out to the foundation, the Nikki Safe Fall Foundation, and we have a meeting on the 24th. It's supposed to be the 3rd, then the 10th, but they keep pushing it back. But we are meeting on the 24th. I do have a commitment from them that they will be splitting that cost with us, 50-50. So that is fantastic, because that helps us maintain this kind of money. So again, since I have that commitment, I just got that on Thursday of last week. I'll be working to get a contract together with LEC so that we can get the work started. And then when we meet with them on the 24th, we'll be talking about the repairs a little bit, but more about the merchandising and the fundraising and those types of things.
Question regarding the repairs. So the foundation is not allowing anybody else but NEC to be the one, or are they open to other contractors?
They were open when I met with them last year, right before the pandemic. They were open. They suggested that I reach out to an artist from the Getty, which I did. She came down, she assessed, and then she went back up. She was going to provide a quote, and then that's when the pandemic hit. So I followed up with her months later, and she apologized that she had not followed through with us. She was having a hard time. One thing the foundation will not budge on is the materials. So the materials have to be the authentic, the Mexican tiles, the tiles from Italy, et cetera, et cetera. So I think maybe that's where her hang-up was. I'm not sure, but I did follow up with her twice, and she just didn't come through. So that's why we went back to LEC, because his original quote was $400 and something thousand. Now that was for much more extensive repair work. There are some structural things that need to be addressed with
Right.
the stake wall. And what we're going to be doing is really just all cosmetic. So down the road, there will be additional costs that eventually we will have to fix. Basically, the wall is cracked in a couple of places, so we will have to address that eventually.
Right. I noticed that section is the one that has the damage. That particular snake, if you go all the way around it, that is the only one that has that kind of damage. So something happened with the base of that area, of that snake, because it's cracking all over the place, right? Okay. Yeah, but once it gets in, it starts expanding. It used to be tiny, because I am a docent there, so yeah, we saw it starting 3 years ago, and now look at the sections. Okay, so are they starting soon? Is it starting anytime soon?
Well, we just got the word on Thursday that the foundation was going to be splitting that cost with us, so I have to get the contract going. We have pretty much a boilerplate standard contract that we use for public art repair. So it'll just be a matter of getting that together. I should be able to get that to you hopefully next week or the following week. After tomorrow, I'm out the rest
Would that include the floor?
No, it does not.
So that is gonna remain like that?
Right now it will, yes. I just bought a new mat for it, but the floor will remain. And I believe that floor has been repaired a couple of times. I think there's a water line or something that runs under there that's causing that to crack repeatedly. So I don't know, it's structural, we're gonna need to have an engineer look at it. So we just, at this point, we're just keeping it safe. We're going to cover it up.
And you put a heavier mat that doesn't fly with the wind? Because
Well, the one, I think that one is only flying away because it's old and dry.
something heavier,
The new one
sturdier.
that I bought, which I'll put out there today, I just got it over the weekend. It's definitely a heavier, it's the
Okay.
same mat, but it's new, so it's much better. So it should be good for a while.
Marty did report on the other side of, besides maintenance, that there was almost 300 people that came through on Saturday. So even that was a hot day.
We're excited. This is awesome. Everybody's excited to come back to that. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is item from the commissioners. Does anybody have anything?
About the electric boxes, having students painting and maybe carrying a theme from the wild animal park. On each box have a separate animal painted on it. But I don't think this is the time to do it.
Oh, we can add it to the agenda.
We can add it to the agenda, yeah. I brought it up last time. We did issue a CIP for that. So we did fund it. I don't remember what the dollar amount, I think we funded, $10,000? I don't remember. I don't recall, but we did put money into it for next year, so it will be available July 1, and we're working on that procedure, writing that procedure right now. So you should see those end of summer starting to pop up.
Yeah, we need
And I was thinking to myself, because I'm really a theme person, the one thing that I just truly am so proud about in Escondido is the wild animal park. And I was, that wonderful shape to put an animal on. I mean, you can fit any type of animal structure, wrapping snakes around, or an elephant with a trunk. But carrying through a theme, I think would be better than having each box painted by creative design that maybe doesn't necessarily match very true. But then at the same time, I've always been a proponent of letting children be creative with their art. Mixed feelings on it.
go and visit Ramona. They did that already, and most cities are doing it right now. And to me, it's exciting to do different one because everyone is a canvas for a new artist. So it's what they did here at the alley. You see, it's exciting. So theme, then you get into discussion why that theme, why does not integrating cultural this and that. So I think leaving it open wouldn't create problems. Let's put it that way, and it would allow more creativity. That's my feeling.
I have mixed feelings.
I think every neighborhood is unique, and
Exactly.
so I think we'll see a number of different ideas come up. But they will be vetted through you all, through the appearance committee, just like a mural would be, and then through the art commission. So you will see that before they go.
You have anything, Williams? So I wanted to add for the next agenda that we contribute to the escoalleyart.com. They have done phase 1, and so we will be discussing that at the next agenda meeting. And my other question is what happened? We approved $3,500 for the repairs of the community art piece lights. What happened to that?
It's in progress. Public Works Department is very busy with end-of-year projects, so we'll be moving forward with that. In the meantime, I know our real property manager is still in discussions with their property owner because I didn't know at our last meeting, but I mean they had an agreement to repair it. But Public Works knows that it needs to be done, so it's in the queue. In the meantime, if we can get the developer to fix it, we will, but
who is in charge of the public art? The
Public Works?
Yeah.
His name is Joe Gillard, he's the director,
Joe?
Joe Gillard. But he wouldn't be, I mean, he's in charge of Public Works, but I've been working with Wayne, who's the superintendent.
Wayne,
Wayne Thames.
okay. Yeah, because it's been long enough. I thought we discussed that we approved the $3,500 if we could go with a private contractor.
No,
Can we
the
do that?
35 The 35 was what was going to cost Public Works,
Oh, okay.
not to contract out. Then you're looking at prevailing wage, it would probably double at least.
But it'll get done. It'll get done. I mean, faster. It's been a year and a half. That's enough. So Wayne, what is the last name?
Thames.
And you spell it?
Thames.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a priority, and I know they're super busy, but to have a year and a half, no lights in that project, that is a beauty, and we spend quite a bit of money on it. Nobody knows. James Stone, who has his studio across, doesn't see it. You drive by it all the time. Couldn't see it until I told her. There is a huge piece on the right side of Valley Parkway. Never saw it. It's right there, yeah. Okay, so keep pushing, and I'm gonna try to see if we can get some help from Wayne, get to meet him. Okay, that's about it. If nothing else, we can adjourn the meeting at 4:30. We adjourn the meeting. Thank you.